Thomas and Friends, Episode 6, The Evil of Sailor John. One day, Norman was talking to Sir Topham Hatt. "Norman, Sailor John has escaped from prison. I just heard that on the news this morning." "Really?" said Norman. "Yes, I'm sure," said Sir Topham Hatt. "And I need you to try to track him down." "Yes, sir," said Norman, and he roared away. "Are you sure Norman is up for the task, sir?" said Winston. "Of course, Winston," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Now let's go." And Sir Topham Hatt rolled away in with Winston. Norman looked around all over Sodor, but he couldn't find Sailor John anywhere. Said Norman. "This seems impossible to find." When Norman arrived at Gordon's Hill, he saw something. "That must be Sailor John. Is that Sidney?" Of course it had to be Sidney, and he had Sailor John as his driver. He was pushing a truck full of dynamite. "I better stop him at once," said Norman, and he raced uphill. "Aha! Got you now, Sailor John." Sailor John jumped. He pulled the lever, and Sidney raced away. "Come back here," said Norman, and he chased on after them. Sidney raced down the track as fast as he could, with Norman giving chase. "You'll never catch up," said Sailor John. "Oh, yes, I will," said Norman. Norman knew that if Sidney pushed the dynamite car into something, it might cause it to explode. But he didn't give up, and he chased on after Sidney. They raced past Tidmouth Sheds and past Knapford Station. "Gotcha now, Sidney," said Norman. "No, you haven't," said Sidney. Meanwhile, up ahead, Spencer was pulling the Duke and Duchess's coach. He just dropped off the Duke and Duchess at Knapford Station, but Sidney, Sailor John, and Norman were heading straight for him. Spencer didn't notice until it was too late. "What's going on?" said Spencer. "I have no idea," said his driver. Sailor John was in the cargo car filled with dynamite, and he knew he had to protect it for his plan to work. "Ah," said Spencer. Meanwhile, at the docks, Winston was having a rest while Sir Topham Hatt was having lunch. Said Winston. "I hope Norman was able to catch Sailor John." Just then he heard a noise. It was none other than Norman chasing Sidney, and Sailor John and Spencer suddenly derailed. Spencer rolled over the tracks, and dumped into the sea. The coach ran along the ground and landed between two switch tracks. Suddenly, the truck that Sailor John was laying in with the dynamite, with the fuses lit, fell into the sea too. Norman just slowed Sydney down when suddenly the coupling snapped and Sydney raced away. "No!" cried Norman. Sir Tom had just finished lunch and he came out and drove to Norman. "Norman, what happened?" "I just had Sailor John and Sydney in my grasp, sir," said Norman. "What happened?" "Well, I was chasing Sydney and Sailor John when suddenly Spencer was in the way and he fell into the sea along with Sailor John with the dynamite. Just after Norman said that, there was a massive explosion that rocked the entire harbor." "Whoa," said Norman. Cranky shook, but luckily he was still standing. "Gee," said Cranky, "that was close." "And pretty much Spencer's gone, sir. And I suspect Sailor John too." Said Sir Topham Hatt. "What am I going to tell the Duke and Duchess?" "I'm sure they will understand, sir," said Norman. "Besides, it was lucky that we still have their coach line here. But Sydney got away from me." "Don't worry, Norman," said Sir Topham Hatt. "If Sydney's still lurking on Sodor, we will find him. Now, I just need you to get the breakdown train, and after that, you can have a rest." "Thank you, sir," said Norman. "Well, Winston, it looks like we have nothing to see here. Let's go." "Whoa, Winston, whoa!"